Hi everybody, it's Honest John. When I first registered to vote, I was registered as an independent. There were things I liked and disliked about both parties. I voted the candidate, not the party. So I voted for Nixon, for Carter. I voted for Reagan once and then against him the second time. I voted for Bush the Elder, and that was the last time I voted Republican. For one thing, I noticed that when the GOP was in power, things seemed to always get worse for regular people, even when the economy was doing okay. And for all their talk about fiscal responsibility, the GOP policies always increased the national debt. The contrast between the Clinton administration and the George W. Bush administration sealed the deal for me. The myth that conservatives are better stewards of the economy have been proven wrong. Every single one of their economic policies has led to disaster for the middle class and for the country as a whole. But they promised to reinstate these policies if they're put back in power. But it's more than economics that has turned me off to the GOP. It is the perversion of conservatism that exists today. The idea that the Constitution should apply equally to all citizens is a conservative ideal. And yet, today's conservatives call it judicial activism. At the same time, they're perfectly comfortable with handing these same rights over to corporations who are not citizens, have no loyalty to the country, and have offices in foreign lands. The idea that money and speech are the same thing is patently absurd. Yet it is embraced by conservatives. The idea that all income is of equal value and should be taxed the same should also be a conservative ideal. And yet conservatives continue to embrace those elements of the tax code that favor the rich. And the idea that corporations, if left on their own, will act ethically, morally, and responsibly is obviously ridiculous. And yet conservatives cling to that idea with unbelievable ferocity, even though there are new reports of corporate greed and criminality that surface every day. But the main thing that has turned me off to conservatism is the people that populate the conservative landscape. William F. Buckley has been replaced by Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, and Bill O'Reilly. Dwight Eisenhower has been replaced by Rick Santorum, Newt Gingrich, Rick Perry. Even Michelle Bachmann was a leading presidential contender for a short time. Conservative thought is now dominated by people of unparalleled ignorance. The birthers, the racists, the religious fanatics. Though I may have been considered somewhat conservative during the 70s and 80s, I would be ashamed to be associated with conservatives nowadays. And finally, the willingness of the conservatives to take the vote away from millions of legal American citizens just to win elections clearly shows that the movement has lost its moral center. Thanks for listening.